Phoenix here, recapping what we've seen midweek. We were mostly focused in Spain. With all due respect to the Carabao Cup, we just don't care. We just don't care. Obviously, the major news coming from that competition was unfortunately the devastating news about Leone's injury. The ACL, obviously, but again, it's a shame. It's I think the player made a huge mistake in going there to begin with, and I think the way Liverpool handled the situation, it wasn't optimal. He didn't have any preseason. He went from the Italian weather to the English weather, Italian food, English food. He could have been starting week in, week out in Champions League matches, in Serie A matches. Could have been playing in the World Cup probably come the end of the year. Instead, he chose money, and he got chucked in a measly Carabao Cup game, and then what happened. Sometimes it's very important for these young players to think sensibly about their future, to pick the correct choices. Not just what makes the most money, but at least another Italian turned up in Chiesa. So shout out to him. But like I said, we were mostly focused in what happened in Spain, and we begin with the game at Levante, between Levante and Real Madrid. I expected Real to struggle this game, because if you watch when Barcelona visited Levante away, Levante are a team capable of scoring against anybody, even though their defense is a bit leaky, but especially at home, they'll give it to you. And they started extremely well. Obviously, Real Madrid's lineup was as follows to begin with what looked like basically Carreras playing centre-back. And there was a bit of a shaky start there, and Levante really should have scored. But then Real Madrid settled in. And this man right here, it doesn't seem like it matters what position he plays. He delivers a consistent 8 out of 10 performance every single game. He's up there already for me as one of the signings of the season. How on earth could Manchester United have let this demon go? It's actually crazy. And before people blame Erik ten Hag, you don't understand the full details, so think before you speak, buddies. Either way, Manchester United's loss is Real Madrid's gain, because wow. For me, his best attribute is his anticipation. It's remarkable. It's almost like he knows every single time where the ball is going to end up, and he's always there ahead of the attacker. At only 22 years of age still, he could get even stronger, even better. And that left back position for Spain is absolutely stacked. I have no idea come the European Championships, come the World Cup, who will be starting. You'd think he may stick with the players that won him the European Championship, but make no mistake about it, if we're going on pure ability, Carreras, for me, it's almost a crime if he's not in that starting 11, especially with the way he's going. So we've seen a bit different Real Madrid. We knew what formation will they play. So with Carvajal and Trent out, Asensio was the one that played right back, but in possession, it was basically a back three. And what this allowed Real Madrid to do was push Vinicius to go closer to Mbappe. And obviously, you know my thoughts on Vinicius. I think he's the most overrated footballer in the world. But this game, he turned up. That first goal is world class. I put my hands up in the air. There is absolutely nothing to say. But my question with this system that Real Madrid used, we've got Atletico Real coming up. Can they play something similar at the Metropolitano? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Vini and Mbappe can be, again, given that minimal defensive work. Because basically, with Fran Garcia pushing, Vini was, contrary to some other games we've seen this season, he was given a freedom not to really track back. And that's probably because of the opposition. But if you go up against Atleti, can they do that? Obviously, with Xabi continuously changing the team, I think he's finding more certainties within the team. But I don't think even he knows yet the best starting 11. With Ceballos Valverde, even though Ceballos is not at that level, he still provides qualities that no other Real Madrid midfielder have. So as a result, the front four got the ball quicker and more frequently. But we know at the Metropolitano, Tchouaméni will have to start. Then it's back to Tchouaméni Valverde. Then it's back to issues. So there's still uncertainties. But of course, we have to give the credit where it's due. Mastantuono, the people that were criticizing him, laughing at him because the end product hasn't been there, it was inevitable that it will be there at some point. And in this game, wow. Again, that goal, it wasn't easy. That finish is far from easy. But what I like with him is fearless, you know? Like many young players in his position, well, two things. Number one, credit to Xabi for continue to play in him. Because if it's Ancelotti, we know how that one goes. You know, after the first couple of games, if he plays those two games, he's not coming back into the team. Xabi stuck with him. But also, it takes tremendous character from him to continue doing what he's doing, to continue taking shots. Because he could easily just play it safe, but he didn't. And as a result, I think the certainty has been established, just like I told you before the season began. Mastantuono, for me, will now have to be a regular starter for Real Madrid. Of that, there is no doubt in my mind. And of course, Mbappe, despite being quiet, has now reached that level, which is a bit what Cristiano used to do, especially towards the end. Not quite in the prime years, but especially Cristiano around 2018, 2017. Those couple of years, like he may not be as involved, of course. Mbappe plays as a number 9, so it's a bit different. But you know it's inevitable. And that's the level Mbappe is reaching at the moment. That sense of inevitability. And like I said, despite a very poor game up until minute whatever 60 where he got the goal, he won the penalty, which is again becoming this inevitable move. It's poor defending from him because you got to know he's not as dangerous, but it's a lot easier to say it, right? Because when his feet are moving that quickly, as a defender, it's tough. But he's now won 2 penalties in very similar fashion. But the second goal, of course, was remarkable. And like I said, he's reaching a sense of inevitability. It's what now? I believe in La Liga, we're talking 7 goals already, which is quite crazy. So that's, of course, the main taking point. But like the Athletic game, make no mistake about it, even though Real Madrid have gone perfect, that's the big test now. That's the one I'm curious to see what lineup they come up with. Golera, I was disappointed with again. Like, I expect so much more from him that I with Bellingham coming back into the team now, I can't see him starting for Real Madrid, and it pains me to say that, but I think it will be Mastantuono, Bellingham, Vini, Mbappe at the Metropolitano. You look at the bench that came on, by the way. I mean, again, they're flexing Madrid. You know, I think that squad is deeper now than it was last season, no doubt about it. So, again, Real Madrid continue on this perfect trajectory. And the key takeaway from this, whatever you may think, the difference between Xabi Alonso and Ancelotti, it is night and day. And it's what I tried warning Real Madrid fans last season. I can't believe there were still fans that wanted to stick with Ancelotti. That, to me, never made any sense. And they went to a place away where Barca struggled. They made it look easy. Once they took control, they took control. So that's something to keep an eye on. Then, of course, we had the incredible game on Wednesday between Atletico and Rayo Vallecano. Now, you know how much I like Rayo. I rewatched the game after because I didn't watch it live, or I had a second screen. And yet again, Inigo Perez is destined for great things, Rayo's manager. For me, the way he has them playing, it was a game where Atleti played well in terms of creating chances, but they're mentally fragile at the moment. And once Rayo took the lead, I thought it was done. Because when you're not doing as well, when there are questions about the manager, it's very easy at that point for players to give up. But it shows that they're still behind Simeone. And that's the key takeaway from this game, that they're still behind him. And of course, Julian Alvarez steals all the shows, sees all the spotlights. I keep seeing a few questions or a few statements coming from Prem tards claiming how could they let Julian Alvarez go to Atletico Madrid, acting like Atletico Madrid or Sunderland or something like that, with all due respect to them. Who the hell do you think you are, Prem-Tards? Atletico Madrid have plenty of money. They paid big money for Alvarez. But it serves as, I think, remembrance, because most Prem-Tards, when Julian Alvarez was there, were not giving him the credit that he deserved. I keep hearing Isaac is better than Alvarez. Me personally, I've told you, I don't understand that one. I fully rate Isaac, but Julian for me is a level above. Julian is sensational, and that third goal was that's world class. That's what a champion does, and this is a champion. This is someone who, in his first season in Europe, won everything there is to win. On top of it, adding a World Cup as well, and that champions mentality, you can see it shining. The question and the problem for Atleti is they still have too many uncertainties within the team. Too many uncertainties. I think Pobil has to start from now. I think I'd push Llorente further forward. Llorente, for me, still looks Atleti's most dangerous player. Simeone, extremely wasteful. Like, he's his son and all, but at some point, we have to say it's almost like enough is enough. He misses so many chances. It's crazy. And they were very lucky that Koke didn't get sent off, because he should have been sent off. And you could argue even Llorente should have been sent off, and that obviously would have affected them massively with the upcoming Real Madrid game. I want to see Hanko central. I think Hanko, for me, is better central than he is on the left. But with the Madrid game coming up, we'll see. And of course, you know, there's still this problem about Alvarez Sorlot. Can they coexist? It doesn't seem like it. I think against Real Madrid, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Raspadori Alvarez, but we'll see. Big win for Atleti, but again, much love to Rayo. Keep cooking. Then, of course, the game that we watched yesterday was the Barcelona game, and of course, I had the minus 1.5 on this, which means Barca to win by more than a goal, and that first half had me extremely worried. Now, most of my thinking was based upon, well, Oviedo have Cazorla Rondon, with respect to them, you know, a 40-year-old and a 36-year-old. I didn't expect much from Oviedo going forward. But when Joan Garcia, who has been absolutely faultless up until this point, makes a mistake like that, then you start questioning. But Barca's attack, it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't flowing as much as usual. But I stayed calm. And I stayed calm. The reason is, how many times under Hansi Flick have we seen Barcelona play like that, but then have this ability to come into life and score 1, 2, 3 in such quick succession? But we need to talk about certain individuals at Barcelona. Number one, of course, Eric Garcia. What Hansi Flick has done with him, he played 3 positions yesterday. He was centre back, right back, left back. He played across the whole board. And obviously, he got the first goal that got them back into the game. It's quite remarkable, in not just this season, but in 2025, what Hansi has done with a player who many people, including myself, lost faith with. But then I wanted to highlight, of course, my man of the match from yesterday, Ronald Araujo. Forget about what he done going forward, because obviously that's what gets him man of the match. But defensively, this guy done something in the first half. I was in disbelief. The ball was going out of play. Somehow heads the ball while it's on the ground, while she's tussling with Rondon. Heads the ball, does a headed pass where the ball was like 1 meter, 2 meter, well, no, even less than that off the ground. I mean, half a meter off the ground. Heads it, keeps it alive, keeps possession for Barcelona. Kobarsi, I've told you my issues with him. And last season, as good as Inigo Martinez was, this is what I said at the start of the season, why I believe in Araujo, because this was the type of game when Barca come up against a physical striker, they struggle a bit last season. But with Araujo in this form, he takes that burden off. He's absolutely fantastic still. I told you, most of the hate towards him was over-hate. And I'm so happy that he started in the manner in which he has. Then not to mention what he does on the left wing, which is more than what Ferran Torres or Dani Olmo was doing going forward. He finds himself on the left wing. It's quite sensational, actually, to what he done. And then, of course, the headed goal, which brought us the minus 1.5. Forever grateful. Gerard Martin, please, Barca fans, I am bored, man. It pains me when you freaking praise mediocrity. It's so boring. Just because he's had a couple of decent games doesn't mean all of a sudden he's a good player. I mean, he was getting torn apart yesterday, destroyed. But of course, the game changed when a certain Frankie de Jong came on at halftime. Casado, you're not Barca level. Frankie comes on, everything changes. It's like, that final boss comes on the pitch and then all of a sudden, hang on a minute, things change. I want to see Bernal ahead of Casado in the pecking order. I understand his fitness is a bit behind, but that's what the natural transition has to be. Pedri, of course, done Pedri things. Rashford was Barca's most dangerous attacker until Lewandowski came on. And then Lewandowski showing us that, hang on a minute, classes per minute. That header isn't easy. Ferran Torres ain't scoring that. Ferran Torres is incapable of having back-to-back good matches. He just can't. Again, he's also a player where you have to be a little bit careful with the praise that you do give him. Because yesterday he was extremely poor. But the player, obviously Rafinha, there's a bit of, for me, if you want to pick him up for Ballon d'Ors, he has to turn up in matches like those. Yesterday he didn't, but that's fine. For me, the one player that yesterday there's no excuse was this man right here. Watch that game again. I'm not joking. He lost the ball basically almost every time he had the ball. It is sickening the amount of money that Barca paid for a player who is barely even available, or let's say he misses half the season to begin with, right? And then in the other half of the season, and there's a purple patch, has 5 good games this season. The rest are average. I told you after the game on the weekend, after the Getafe game, I told you I don't care about the cutback, the back heel. I don't care about the tap-in because I see what I see. I see long term. And the fact of the matter is, at 50 million, he's up there with one of the worst signings Barcelona have made when you talk value for money. When you factor in, as well, the situation Barcelona are currently in. It is up there for me with the Griezmann, with the Dembele, with the Coutinho. It is 100% up there, especially when you factor he's not half the player that any of those three were as players anyways. So that's the big mistake. But another win for Barca. And the La Liga table now looks like this. Big game coming up over the weekend. This is my initial verdict. For Atleti, I think it'll be 95. I've said I think it'll be 95 points plus, I think, to win the league this season. So that puts Atleti in trouble because I'm not seeing Barca and Real Madrid dropping too many points over the course of the season. But I wouldn't quite rule Atleti just out yet because I was impressed with what I seen on Wednesday. Big game coming up on Saturday. But if we focus on Barca Real, for me, Barcelona have more certainties than Real Madrid, right? They have more like over, what their strongest 11 is. I don't quite yet know that with Real Madrid. And I don't think Real have been as tested yet defensively. The one game they've been really, at least not in Spain, because the one game they've really been tested was in that Marseille game. And they had to cheat to win that game because there's no way they should have won that one. This game coming up will tell us a lot. With Barca, I think they have another couple of gears they can reach. With Real Madrid, with this current team, I still think they're missing a midfielder that they don't have in order to go to the next level. But the gap between the two teams, of course, I've maintained this. I think Real Madrid on paper are the best in the world. I've always said this. They're missing, but they have so many world-class players. They're missing a couple of I guess, players required. But they have a world-class squad with world-class players. And I think last season, nobody gave Barcelona a chance. They won the league. Now, this year, people spun it and they're like, there's no chance Real Madrid will win the league. No, it'll be a fierce contest. And especially with Xabi in charge of Real Madrid. But I still back Barcelona to win the league. I think there's more certainties within that team. Tomorrow, we'll have the spoilers that will be coming out over this upcoming weekend. Let's continue making some exceptional chiching bibbling. Thank you for watching. Phoenix